Welcome to the Boat Buyer's Secret Weapons series. I'm your host, Captain Matt, and today we're talking about boating versus RVing. Now, there are two great pastimes, two great hobbies for the family, but we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each. So, we're going to talk about non-livable boats versus RVing. So we're just talking about the lifestyle, not living on an RV or living on a boat, but pontoons, deck boats, bow riders, cruisers, just day boating and RVing. We're going to talk about the pros of RVs, the pros of boats, and the cons of both, and then which is best for you. So, we're brought to you by the Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon Toolkit. You can pick up your free copy, which includes checklists, questions to ask, boat ownership calculators, as well as a couple special videos that we put in this year for 2021. So, grab that free at boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/toolkit. Now, let's jump into the pros of RVing. Well, the number one is you can travel and you can overnight in your RV. So it gives you the opportunity to explore everywhere, and you've got everything you need all in that one unit. You're traveling, you're going wherever you want to be, and you don't need to mess with hotels, you don't need to mess with reservations, you don't necessarily need to mess with a strict itinerary. You're in charge and you can do it all. You can also visit multiple attractions. So you can go to, the mountains, but once you get to the mountains, you can kind of set up shop. If you have a tow vehicle, or even if you have a travel trailer, you can unhook, leave that there, and you can go explore and see multiple attractions from your home base, which is your RV or your travel trailer. You can escape that normal day-to-day routine, going to the office, coming home, having dinner, going to bed. You get out and you're in your RV, you're probably in nature, and you just get a whole new experience. You get to detach, you get to unplug, and it's a great stress reliever. You can also have adventures and explore. You get out, you go to different parts of the country, you go to different climates, you go to different environments. You can go to a RV park, you can go to water, to lakes or rivers or streams, you can go in the mountains, you can go to the beach. There's just everything opens up to you when you're in an RV or a travel trailer. And frankly, it's pretty easy to do. You know how to drive a car. It's a easier version of camping, really. So there's not a whole lot to learn. Of course, there's things to learn, but you don't have to learn how to do everything from scratch. You also get the opportunity to meet new people. So you're out and about, you're at different parks, you're at different campsites, and you're going to meet other RVers, other campers, people that enjoy that experience. And the other thing, I'm a dog lover. I've got two dogs, and you can bring your pets. It's nice and easy to bring your pets. A lot of RV parks allow it, not all of them, so make sure you check before you go. But you can bring your whole family, including your pets. Now let's move over to boating. This is obviously a boating site. I have my personal preference, but one of the big pros is you're with friends and family. So you can load up that boat, not just with your immediate family or a small group, but you can load it up with everybody based on the size of boat you have. But typically, even a small boat, you can fit 6 or 8 people on board. You're around water. If you've watched the video on the Blue Mind, a book that I reviewed, it's relaxing. Being around water just relaxes your whole body. It has actual scientifically proven impact on your brain, and it's better for you to be around water and in water. And it's also affordable-ish. We'll talk about this in the cons a little bit, but You can easily buy a pre-owned boat that's in good shape. Follow all the advice you find on this channel for, 10 grand, 15 grand, which equates to maybe $100 to $150 a month for the payment. There's a whole boat ownership calculator in the toolkit. You can look to make sure it's affordable for you. But for $200 or $300 a month, you can cover everything that you need to with boating. It also opens you up for a variety of activities. So you can go out, just anchor out and relax. You can do water sports. You can tube. You can fish. You can cruise and explore. You can entertain. You get a swim. There's a lot of things that you can do on a boat, and you get to do it in beautiful scenery. There's not much prettier than being on the water. The surrounding nature around you, just engulfed in nature, and it's very, very cool. It teaches responsibility. There's something about boating that there's a lot of stuff to do. Tying up the boat properly, bringing up the anchor, maintaining the boat, wiping it down, and keeping it clean, keeping it dry, loading and unloading it. There's a lot of things that teach kids responsibility, and it's something that a lot of people I know that are boaters have really found that to kind of be a surprising pro that they didn't expect. You can meet new people out on the water. There's always new folks on the water. You're gonna meet them if you want to. You don't have to, because you can go off on your own, but you can easily pull up, meet somebody on a dock or at a restaurant, or just anchored out in a cove somewhere at the marina, and you can meet a whole new group of people. And typically boaters tend to be a lot of fun, and it's going to create lasting memories for you and your family, which for me is something, being a boater for over 40 years, I have a lot of my best memories are on the water. Now, like everything, there's cons. It's not all sunshine and roses in RVing and boating. The first con of an RV is it's kind of a single family activity or a small group. You've got to get a really, really big, maybe a diesel pusher or something, to have more than 4 or 5 or 6 people on board at the same time, with sleeping and everything. So it lends itself to a smaller group. There's lots of driving. You think of an RV and you're exploring. You're not going to the same places. You're typically going to be driving hours to different locations. Now, if you're my wife or kids, the bugs and the snakes. If you do your camping out in nature, there's critters that come with that, and that's a big turnoff for some people. Finding good RV sites. There's a lot of RV sites, a lot of campgrounds out there, but finding the good ones that have availability, that you can get a reservation, can be difficult. There's also maintenance and storage. What are you going to do with the RV when you're not using it? Where are you going to park it? Are you going to park it undercover or indoors to keep that roof from leaking and minimize the exposure? And then you've got maintenance. Tires is an unexpected expense for a lot of RVers, that, hey, those tires wear out over time. It's not just miles, and you don't want to have a blowout. There's oil changes. There's maintaining the interior. All of that goes with the ownership. There's the cost of gear. It's not just you're going to stay in the RV. You're going to need chairs and maybe some camping equipment, maybe some cooking equipment. There's a lot of stuff that goes with it. The mat that you put out front, maybe a canopy or a tent, a lot of different things, and then the cost of fuel. Like we said, there's a lot of driving, a lot of exploring. It takes fuel to do that, to get everywhere you want to go. So there's definitely cons with boating as well. One of the biggest ones is learning a new skill. So this may be a pro to some people, but it's something that new boaters need to understand. There's a learning curve with boating, and you need to take the time and even partner with somebody, or get a course, take a course on the new skills that you need for boating, how to operate a boat safely and easily, trailering a boat, docking a boat, tying a boat up, towing somebody on water sports, anchoring out. There's a lot of different new skills that need to be learned that you've got to take the time. You can't just jump in day one and you're off and running. You've got to learn those skills, and it'll make everything that you do that much more enjoyable. Breakdown, maintenance, and storage. Unfortunately, boats have a history of breaking down. They operate in a harsh environment, especially if you're in salt water, but even freshwater. Things will break. And you need to be aware of that, and you need to be okay with that, that at times something's not going to go perfectly right. Even if you get a brand new boat, there's likely going to be one or two little things, maybe more, that come up that you have to get addressed. Now, typically they're not major, but things break on a boat, and you have to be okay with that. And then there's the maintenance, doing your oil changes. It has an engine in it, oil changes, gear lube impellers, which are specialty things that a boat has, that need to be addressed. If you have a more complex boat like a cruiser, there may be other things addressing the generator, your fresh water tanks, things like that. Storage. Where are you going to keep the boat? Are you going to keep it in the marina? Are you going to keep it on the water? Are you going to trailer it? And then where are you going to store it on the trailer? All of that comes into, hey, it's not, it's a little bit stressful. There's a lot of things that go into owning it. You got to think about these things beforehand. The cleaning. You've got to keep a boat clean and keep it dry so that mold and mildew don't begin. For growing up, it was wiping the boat down every time we used it. We pulled it off the trailer, and you wiped down the outside, and somebody wiped down the inside and cleaned everything out. And then we waxed it once or twice a year, and every month we would pull all the gear out and clean it inside and out. For us kids, it was fun. For me now, it's still fun. I love cleaning a boat, but not everybody does, and I'm going to list that as a con. Access to good water. Depending on where you live, you may have to travel a little way to get to the good water where you want to boat, whether it's a lake or a boat ramp, access to the intercoastal, whatever your situation is. You've got to find out where that good water is. The cost of gear and fuel. There's a lot of stuff that you can add on to a boat to make it even more fun. Tubes, ropes, water toys, life jackets, anchors and anchor line, the stuff for your cabin if you've got a cruiser. There's a lot of things that go with it. And then the fuel, which if you go and anchor out most of the day and you just hang out and swim, you won't use a lot of fuel. If you're doing water sports, and you're surfing or skiing or wakeboarding all day, you're going to go through a significant amount of fuel, and you've got to figure that into the cost of ownership. Because one of the worst things that can happen to a boater is you buy the boat, then you don't have the money to do the proper maintenance, to fix it if something breaks, and to get the gear and fuel. And now you've got this thing that was supposed to be a lot of fun, and now it's a big headache for you. And then the short seasons in some parts of the country. So all of that added up are some of the cons. Although I will say about the short seasons that most people can extend the seasons and really to some fun boating into the fall in certain areas, where it's really enjoyable. The lake is much less crowded. The water is much less crowded in most parts of the country, and those can be a lot of fun. So, boats or RVs, what's right for you? Well, it's a personal preference. For me, the call of the water, being around the water, it wins hands down. Even if I was to RV or be a camper, I would take that to the water. And once you're at the water, you want to be on the water, not just by the water. And the cons for me, hey, fitting into the budget, check. Operating a boat, check. It's to me, it's a challenge. Just like when I got my pilot's license, there's a challenge to learning that new skill. The cleaning, the maintenance, for some people, that tinkering can be fun. There was somebody on the podcast just a week or two ago that talked about he loves to tinker, and if you love to tinker, boating can be great. So you've got to decide that getting out and exploring the country, or getting on the water for the relaxation and everything that the water offers. I'm going to go boats every day of the week. Obviously, that's why I've got a boating channel. But hopefully, gives you something to think about. Would love to hear your thoughts on boats and RVs. What you like best about them. If I missed a pro, if I missed a con, ask your most pressing questions. Let me know what kind of boat you're shopping for. If you're shopping for a boat, give us a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Be sure to subscribe. Just hit that red button to subscribe. YouTube has recommended a couple videos for you. And if you haven't and you're considering a boat, get that Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon Toolkit at boatbuyersecretweapon.com/toolkit. We would also appreciate if you shared this on social media, in your boating groups, in your RVing groups, and pass the information along. Have a great one. We'll talk to you next time.